Hello friend, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about my experience decluttering 500 things out of my room in the month of January. So for the month of January, I played what is called the 30-day minimalism game, which is a challenge created by the minimalists. They have written a couple of books. They have an Instagram account. But basically the challenge is on the first day of the month you declutter one thing, on the second day you declutter two things, and so on. So by the end of the month, 31 days, you'll have decluttered 496 items, and then what I did was I just decluttered 4 more things to make it around 500. The idea is that as the month goes on, you'll have built up more and more momentum to get rid of more things throughout the month. I got the idea for the challenge from Ashlyn Eaton on Instagram and YouTube. She did this challenge, I believe, in November, and I watched her do it and I felt really inspired to do it as well. The great majority of what I decluttered was in my childhood bedroom at home. So I'm at my college apartment right now, and I forgot to get it before and after, unfortunately, but just know that there was a significant amount of stuff that I decluttered. I decluttered one large trash bag of just garbage, and then a similarly sized amount of things to donate or give away, and then a smaller but also significant pile of recycling. I filmed the process of me getting rid of things throughout the month, and I will be talking through some of the things that I gave away and as well as showing you. So with that, I'll hand myself over to the voiceover and I'll show you what I got rid of in the month of January. For day one, I decluttered this pencil pen holder that my cousin gave me years and years ago, and as you can see, it's broken into a bunch of parts. And for day two, I decluttered the clips from this pencil holder that I don't ever use. For day three, I decluttered 3 trifold boards that I made in high school that I have no use for anymore, and most of the stuff in it has been falling off, and I just don't need them anymore. For day 4, I decluttered 1 pin that was broken and 3 pins that didn't hold any sentimental value for me. I got them for free. And for day 5, I decluttered 5 of these glass jars that I always told myself I would use as a craft, but then never got around to using, and it's been like 5 years and I will not use them, so off to the recycling they go. I forgot to record on day 6, but I decluttered a bunch of craft supplies. For day 7, I decluttered a bunch of random things from my room. I decluttered a backpack with no bottom, 2 water bottles, a sleep mask, a old Ziploc bag with also a hole in the bottom, a pocket Bible that I don't need, a shower cap from a hotel, just a bunch of random things that don't. Day 8 has more of the same, 2 more of the sleep masks, 2 nail polishes, some old crafts that I don't use anymore, a filled up notebook, just a bunch of random things that I found throughout my room. Day 9, I decluttered the shelves above my bed, so I have some knitting projects that I don't need anymore, a book that I actually mailed to a friend, a catalog, a paint chip, and some notebooks that I don't write in anymore. Day 10, I cleared off my bulletin board. I found a bunch of sticky notes, some baseball cards, a macrame piece, and some cards that I was going to use as a craft supply. On day 11, I went through my memory box and found some things that aren't significant to me anymore, such as a photo album, a poster, business card, tickets, stuff like that, most of which I can't show you, so there's that. If there's anything I've learned from this challenge is that I just have a lot of crafts sitting around in my room. Day 12 is more crafts, some more sticky notes, a folder from middle school, and a flyer. On day 13, I actually went through my underwear drawer and came out with 13 pieces that I don't wear anymore or that are worn out, as well as a pair of socks. On day 14, I came up with 2 statistics textbooks from when I took statistics, as well as a bunch of Chinese magazines that I read when I was learning Chinese. Day 15 was the trickiest one to date. I went through my extensive notebook collection and came out with 15 ones that were either all filled or partially filled or that I simply did not need anymore, and I got rid of those. On day 16, I went through some drawers in my desk and came up with a bunch of random memorabilia like my AP card and a cord from a magic trick. Hello! It's day 17 of the challenge, and I wanted to break up the voiceover a little bit by vlogging a little bit of today's experience, because today is the halfway point of the challenge, woo! But also, it is what I think might be the hardest day of all. Today is the trickiest day because I am going to be decluttering my bookshelves. I have 2 bookshelves of this size. There's one over here. So I don't have a ton of books, but I will be trying to declutter 17 books off of these bookshelves today. My personal philosophy for decluttering books is that I want to have a library of books, but I don't want to keep books that I'm not going to reread or that I won't recommend to somebody else. I'm going to go through all of my bookshelves and see which books I'm never going to read again, and I'm going to either try to sell them or donate them to somebody who might possibly read them. I will not, however, be decluttering my TBR, so the first shelf, which may or may not be a smart move, but I just haven't read those books yet, so I might want to keep them, even though most of them have been sitting there for like 3 years, and it's really ambitious to think that I'll read them eventually, but I'm just gonna keep them for now. So yeah. My room is a mess because I have been decluttering a lot. This is what I'll be working on first. This top shelf, except for these 3 right here, are books that I want to read and haven't yet. This second shelf, I have, actually all of these are kids books except for those 2 which are coloring books, and then the one on the end which is a classic, so I have to move those. More of my TBR right here because I'm shifting these down here. And then I have this guy which is behind my bed, so it's kind of hard to see. Right now these are my like YA books and classics a little bit. Down here is my Anne of Green Gables series. This section is Christian fiction, and then this section is books that my friends have written. So this section is books that I'm definitely keeping. And then I suspect that most of the books are going to come from here because I review for a Christian fiction company. I review for Revel. They send me copies of books that I probably won't keep. So that's what we're working with. I also have this bookshelf over here in the corner. These right here are books that I don't want anymore. So these books I've already set aside as books I don't want to keep anymore. And then down here are a bunch of Christian living books that I haven't read yet, but am keeping in case I will someday. So I guess that's also my TBR. So I'm also going to be going through these and actively trying to get rid of them. I already went through my bookshelves yesterday night just to kind of like get a sense of what I have. Well, I'm trying to reconfigure my bookshelves so that like books are more together, and also that so that I'll see the books that I like more on top. So I've just gotten out all of the books from my bookshelf. I did not take out the books from my TBR shelf because I'm just going to be shifting those one shelf down. So those are staying, and then these guys are all staying because I rearranged them yesterday. So those are fine too. So now let's try to find new homes for these books. Update. I moved the classics and children's fiction down here, and I like it a lot more because I don't read these books often, and so this shelf isn't exactly the most accessible, but I can still see them because they look good together. I like it here a lot better. And then I moved the books from friends right here, which I really like, and then this stack is the books that I'm currently reading. But now is the tricky part, because now I have to go through these books. So my goal is to get rid of enough books that they all fit right here. They used to be on 1.5 shelves, I believe, but I want to pare it down enough so that it all fits in one shelf. We'll see what we can do about it. I have made some good progress. I put all of the books that I want to keep in this part of my bookshelf, and it makes me so happy. And then I put my classics down here, like I said before. Books by friends, currently reading, TBR. So far, I have 11 books that I'm getting rid of, which is more than I expected, to be honest. Next up, I have the books that were in my getting rid of pile. So I got them all out here, and I'm going to be going through them. For these guys, because there's so many of them, I'm going to count 2 as one book I'm getting rid of. So I have 11 that I picked out from my bookshelf, so I have 6 more to go. I have to pick out 12 of these to like get rid of right away. So as it turns out, this is exactly 12. So 3, 6, 9, 12. So that brings me up to 17 for today, which is kind of amazing, honestly. So now I have, 17 plus 6, 23 less books than I started with today. So now I'm going to try to find new homes for these books. I'm probably going to post them on Instagram to see if anybody would like them. List a couple of them on eBay, because I can't list the books that I got for view purposes, but I can list like this one that I bought. So yeah. For day 18, I went through my file folders and got out a bunch of bookmarks, postcards, papers, and I don't have an exact count for day 18, but this stack of paper is about 4 inches tall, so I would say it's more than 18 items. Day 19, I decluttered a bunch of crayons that I was going to use quote-unquote in the future, which obviously never happened, and so I'm getting rid of them to a better home. On day 20, I went through the post-it notes on my wall and got rid of a bunch of them. Most of these haven't been relevant to my life in months, so I'm glad to finally be rid of them. Day 21, I don't have an exact count for today, but I went through my knitting supplies and found a bunch of patterns that I'll never be using, some failed projects, some yarn ends, some other random knitting supplies, and also 3 shells from when we went to the beach. On day 22, I found a box of origami flowers and crayons, and I'm getting rid of those, as well as the box they came in, and a bunch of spare pieces. Day 23 is more paper clutter. I have a bunch of stuff from when I was applying to colleges, and a bunch of hand lettering challenges and workouts and random printouts that I've made over the years. On day 24, I cleared out some of the miscellaneous things that have been in my bookshelf that I don't want or need anymore, such as my old phone, some dried out paints, some merch from orientation at my college, a broken binder, a stuffed animal, and some random game pieces and pens. On day 25, I finally went through the last of my high school stuff and came out with a bunch of notebooks, binders, folders, notes, etc. Again, not an exact count for today, but considering the amount of stuff I cleaned out, I would say that's 25 things. On day 26, I went through my closet and found a bunch of clothes that I don't wear anymore and haven't worn in a while, as well as an old sheet that has a hole in it. I definitely need to go through my clothes more and pair out some more things, but for now, this is a good start. On day 27, I cleared out a ton of things. I looked under my bed and found a bunch of stuff I don't want anymore, including a lot of art that I don't want, an old presentation, a random bunch of napkins for some reason, old perfume, a mini fan, a stuffed bear, and a bunch of random other things. If you know me, you know how much I like stationery. So for day 28, I went through all of my pens and I cleared out 2 huge piles of pens, as well as a bunch of my washi tapes and old art that I haven't been using. For day 29, I don't have an exact count again today, but I went through all of the stuff that I used when I did music in high school and came up with a bunch of old folders, binders, music, etc. On day 30, I dug through my jewelry box and I came up with a bunch of old bracelets and rings and stuff from my childhood that are either broken or that don't hold sentimental value to me, and I got rid of those. This is the last day of the challenge, day 31, and I am getting rid of a bunch of miscellaneous knickknacks from throughout the year, such as some cheap sunglasses that I got at a tournament, some crayon pens, bracelets, rocks, and my Dum Dum wrapper collection. So technically the challenge is over, but I wanted to get out 4 more things to make it around 500. So, believe it or not, I found more craft supplies to get rid of. If you're interested in playing the minimalism game, I'd highly encourage it. It was a little bit difficult closer to the end of the month, but for the great majority of it, it was completely doable. And I really enjoyed it. A tip I would give somebody who is trying to play the 30-day minimalism game is to, the first couple of days, like the first 10 or so days, I decluttered big items. So like school trifold boards or big craft projects or that kind of thing, because you only need less things for the first couple of days. And at the end of the month, I decluttered bigger things. So I decluttered the drawers in my desk. I decluttered my bookshelves. Things that had a lot of smaller things to declutter, I decluttered those towards the end of the month.